welcome to the Big Red Expert Series. Good morning. My name is Claire Murphy. I'm the host of Mamma Mia's daily news podcast, The Quickie. A little bit about me. I've been working as a journalist and radio host and now podcast host for the last 20 years. And as someone who's just recently come back from a 2-week trip to Japan, I know the best way to cure a case of post-holiday depression is to start planning your very next one. And that is why I am more than a little bit excited to be here and have the privilege of introducing and hosting Flight Centre's very own Round the World Expert webinar today. A couple of things first up. Don't forget that at any point in time during today's session, you can head to the Engage tab on your screen and fill out the inquiry form to get in touch with a Flight Centre expert. Now, make sure you also don't miss out on Flight Centre's Big Red Sale. It is live now until the 17th of November with red hot savings of up to 50% on holidays, cruises and tours, plus sky-high savings on flights. There really is no better time to book than right now. Today, we are joined by Mike and Cassie. Now, these two are round-the-world travel gurus, and they are going to share some of their tips and tricks for round-the-world fares with us today. Now, with 8 years of experience in the travel industry, Mike is an expert in round-the-world travel. Now, he has visited over 50 countries across 5 continents. Mike leverages this extensive airfare knowledge to offer clients the most suitable options, thriving on the challenge of constructing creative and unique itineraries. Cassandra here is a passionate round-the-world travel agent with 2 years of experience specialising in complex airfares. Having visited no less than 15 countries and having spent 5 years in the Canadian tourism industry, she offers valuable insights to help travellers design their ideal itineraries. And how's this for a bit of an adventure? Last year, Cassie embarked on a solo round-the-world trip, further enriching that expertise that she's about to bestow upon us today. Okay, let's get ready for a fantastic session. If you want to get in touch with us again, please use the inquiry form on the right-hand side of your screen, or feel free to chat through any comments or questions, and don't forget to stay on for our live Q&A. Okay. I guess we should start with the basics. What is a round-the-world airfare expert, you ask? Well, Flight Centre's round-the-world experts specialise in crafting and booking intricate multi-stop itineraries that go beyond just your standard online options. From continent-hopping flights and cost-saving one-way routes to journeys off the beaten path, they handle it all. And they manage every detail in between too, like airport transfers, hotels, rental cars, tours, and more. With 120 plus combined years of experience traveling to over 100 countries in every corner of the globe, Flight Centre ensures they are elevating their customers' experience by connecting travellers with the right experts to make their journeys truly unforgettable. Now, these round-the-world teams live and breathe airfares and have the experience and knowledge to problem solve the most complex of itineraries with a deep understanding of airline partners, routing possibilities, and ensuring that you make the most of your holiday while you're doing it. Now, these airfare geeks, as they are affectionately known, manually construct each ticket, providing advice on what's possible, recommending extra destinations that you may not have thought of to maximise your airfare. Now, whether you're traveling economy on your gap year or business class for a bucket list holiday, this team of dedicated experts will be able to guide and support you through the entire process. Okay, shall we start with the basics? Cassie, can you help us with understanding what is a round-the-world airfare?
Of course. So a round-the-world ticket is a single ticket that allows you to travel one way around the world, stopping in multiple countries along the way. By using our airline partners, we get to add extra stops on your itinerary so you get the best value.
Well, we all want to get what my boss, Mia Friedman, refers to as more juice for the squeeze, and it doesn't get much better than that. But for those of us that aren't too sure on the details, why would you want to travel on a round-the-world ticket rather than just, say, doing a stack of multiple bookings?
With a round-the-world ticket, we use carriers that work together in alliance. So we have more options of routes they fly to and more choice of stopovers rather than booking a point-to-point airfare with one carrier, for example. Around the world ticket will also give you much better value, as you mentioned, um, being able to maximize your stops along the way. There are also some amazing stopover destinations on offer, and you actually wouldn't believe how cheap they are. For example, if you've traveled extensively through Asia and you would like to stop in a new destination on your way home from Europe, you can fly with Qatar on a one world ticket and stop in Doha for as little as $34 per person, and that actually includes your hotel.
That's amazing. I love that stopovers can be that cheap along the way. Okay, Mike, you're up. Can you help us understand what round the world options there are?
Yeah, that's a great question to get into it. So, round the world flights include traveling to several countries around the world with requirements around mileage, cities, or continents, depending on your ticket. A city based itinerary gives you the chance to tick off some big destinations in one trip, traveling in the same direction around the globe. This ticket keeps things simple, direct, and can be an affordable alternative for a more complex multi city journey. For example, you can visit Singapore for a taste of Asia, continue to London where history meets modern life, and then complete the trip with the glitz, glamour, and sunshine of LA. A continent-based trip can be perfect to maximize a holiday and tick off those bucket list destinations, allowing you to visit multiple cities per continent. These itineraries are great value to see more of the world, offering the fun and flexibility of additional locations. One sample itinerary, as shown, visits Tokyo and Phuket in Asia before flying on to Rome and London. From here, you'll depart for the USA with stops in both New York and LA before returning home. And that brings us to the mileage-based ticket, with airline alliances providing a vast network of destinations for the ability to customize an itinerary more, with the cost calculated by the total miles traveled. This makes it possible to visit the 7 wonders of the world as part of the same ticket, including Beijing, Delhi, Cairo, Rome, Rio de Janeiro, Lima, and Cancun.
Sorry, you just mentioned Tokyo and I'm having a holiday flashback. Sorry, I was in my own brain there for a second. There truly is a round the world ticket suitable for every journey then, but the question is, what's the best time to book one of these? And then what do you actually need to have already ready to make it happen?
Of course. So the airlines release fares and schedules roughly 11 months in advance. Though if you're planning to be away for quite some time, it might be a few months before all of your flights are available to book. We recommend booking early and to avoid departing during peak periods where possible, as this allows you to get the access to the best availability and prices. Once you have your dream list of destinations, the names of each traveler embarking on your world adventure, and your preferred dates of travel, we can handle the rest.
I think we've all got that dream list saved on our notes app in our phones, right? That's all ready to go. Cassie, what if I choose to do all of this myself rather than using an expert? What could go wrong?
A few things can go wrong. You will end up with multiple one-way tickets, which equals to a higher price overall, and making it much more expensive to change flights or cancel, as you will accumulate fees per ticket. You're also missing the opportunity to see more for less and miss out on our multiple flight and holiday deals that we have access to. It's also the little things that can go wrong, and we make sure they don't. So all the different baggage allowances, the connection time issues, and the limited support for emergencies. We look after your trip from start to finish and continue to be there no matter where you are in the world, so you can have complete peace of mind when you're traveling.
Okay, look, if you can save me money and make sure I don't get stuck somewhere, then it is totally worth it. But next question is why we should book with Flight Centre for our next round the world journey.
Well, not only do we have over 120 years traveling across every continent, we have specialist training to make sure that our extensive knowledge and we provide customized and seamless experience. We know every tip and trick there is when it comes to maximizing value, and we simplify the process of planning a complex itinerary so you can focus on all the exciting parts of your trip. We're accessible at all times, and we make sure that your trip is nothing but smooth from takeoff to landing. We can help also with your flights, your tours, your hotels, your insurance, and much more. And of course, not to mention that we can squeeze even more value with all the multiple deals we have access to.
Yeah, with cost of living the way that it is, we're all up for value for money right now. So that is very good to know. Well, speaking of which, do you guys have any hot deals that you can share with us today?
Yes, of course. So these are examples of customized itineraries we booked this month for our customers. So first one is a 5-stop around the world with Finnair. It flies you to Tokyo, London, Venice, Helsinki, and LA from 2,900 per person in economy, or you can actually fly on a combination of economy with Qantas and business class with Finnair from $6,000 per person, which is such a unique offer and best value to experience business class on a round the world ticket. These are a great option for straightforward itineraries that go through Asia, Europe, and America. You can actually have up to 2 stops in Asia and America. So, for example, you can fly to the biggest hubs such as Singapore, Tokyo, Hong Kong, but we can also do a bit of a niche itinerary that will fly you to Phuket and Kuala Lumpur before flying to Europe. With a Finnair around the world, you'll also be connecting through Helsinki in and out of Europe, which is a perfect opportunity to, again, get more value out of a ticket and add a stop in Helsinki to explore the Scandinavian countries. Also, Finnair has some of the most competitive prices when it comes to around the world tickets. Next one is a 5-stop around the world with Singapore Airlines. This one flies you to Singapore, Paris, Frankfurt, New York, and San Francisco from $3,000 in economy. And you can fly premium economy from 5,500 per person and business class from around 10,500, which is often competitive to a direct flight to Europe. These itineraries are perfect for people who love flying with Singapore Airlines and accumulate some frequent flyer points with Velocity. You can enter Europe from anywhere that Singapore Airlines will fly to, but you must depart from Frankfurt to New York to join the 2 continents. You can also open jaw in North America, or we can add the internal flight that will connect the West Coast to the East Coast, depending on your travel plan. On this itinerary, also, you will transit or stop over in Singapore on the way out and on the way back from Australia, which again is perfect if you have friends or family and you want to extend that time together. Last one here for me is a 9-stop around the world with Star Alliance. This one flies to Singapore, Istanbul, Split, Munich, Barcelona, New York, San Francisco, Tahiti, and Auckland. And this starts at $5,200 per person, which is amazing value considering all the countries you're flying to. And you can fly business class from $12,500, which again, amazing. With this particular itinerary, you'll be flying with Singapore Airlines, Croatia Airlines, Lufthansa, United Airlines, and Air New Zealand. Other partners with Star Alliance are Air Canada, Thai Airways, Swiss, and South Africa Airways, just to name a few. Star Alliance is actually a perfect around-the-world ticket for complex itinerary. Because of all of these alliances, we can access so many parts of the world and can really manually build an exciting trip for you. We can fly you in and out of some of the cities, or we can also open jaw, which allows for your own travel, which is very popular in Europe and North America, for example. It's also ideal for passengers that like to break up the trip with shorter flights, stopping in more places along the way. Whether it's for a medical reason or personal preference, we can break up the long journey into shorter flights and again, seeing more places, getting better value for your ticket. These are just a few examples of custom itineraries that are available all year round, and Mike can tell you a bit more about some of the big red deals.
I can. Thanks, Cassie. So during our Big Red sale, we have savings of up to 50% on holidays, cruises, and tours, plus sky-high savings on flights. But we're here today to discuss around the world itineraries, of course. So I'll take you through 2 of the Big Red sale fares that we have running now. The first is sushi, surf, bagels, and bratwurst. As the name suggests for this one, it's great for the foodies. Sign me up. It's also another for fans of Singapore Airlines, taking advantage of their large network of destinations. You'll begin by transiting through Singapore to Tokyo before flying direct to LA and New York in the US, and then Frankfurt in Europe. Your time in Europe will be open for flexibility, with a departure from Rome to Singapore, and then back to Australia, again on direct services. For this one, there's no restriction on the length of time you have in each location, and it's worth keeping in mind that travel can be in either direction. So don't forget to let us know if you have the flexibility, and we can compare both to get the best price. On top of this, as Cassie previously mentioned, Velocity frequent flyers will accrue points for every Singapore Airlines flight taken. In fact, every flight on this itinerary would be operated by Singapore Airlines, apart from any domestic US services. Another Singapore Airlines benefit is their network within Australia. They have flights departing from Perth, Adelaide, Cairns, and even Darwin, which offers an alternative for an international departure, maintaining a more direct trip without the need to travel via Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. Sticking with the Melbourne departure though, this itinerary has an economy fare starting from as low as $2,859. Singapore Airlines also have one of the world's best premium economy cabins, and for the added comfort and legroom, a premium fare is definitely worth considering, with prices from $4,209. Moving on to today's last itinerary. So this one's also part of the Big Red Sale. This one is another variation of the Finnair ticket that Cassie touched on earlier, focusing on 4 stops, being Singapore, Helsinki, London, and LA. Finnair operate from their hub city of Helsinki and utilize partner airlines including Qantas, Cathay Pacific, Japan Airlines, and American Airlines for travel in and out of Australia. These itineraries are some of the most competitive fares year-round for all cabin classes, and with their partnership, your Qantas frequent flyer memberships can apply to nearly all flights on the ticket, depending on the airline. They are also a brilliant option for a range of travellers, from those looking to visit family and friends in the UK or Europe, but would like to break up the journey with stopovers on either side, to those who are travelling for a longer period of time and prefer to maybe just have the long-haul flights taken care of, maintaining that flexibility for travel within Europe. For this particular itinerary as shown though, the first stop will be Singapore, before Finnair operate direct services to Helsinki, and after some time in Finland, on to London. The trip from London to LA continues with Finnair again, connecting back through Helsinki. Helsinki's airport has recently undertaken renovations, making connections here some of the smoothest in Europe, commonly between 1 to 2 hours, with baggage being checked through to your final destination. Finally, after some time back in LA, the journey is complete with a direct Qantas flight home. These destinations provide some of the best fares, but you can consider substituting Singapore for other Asian hubs, such as Hong Kong or Tokyo, and Los Angeles for other key US locations like New York and Dallas. Flying into one American location and then departing from another may also be possible. And one big advantage, most airlines don't allow the traveller to pick and choose which flights can be upgraded, but with Finnair, it's possible to travel in and out of Australia in economy, but upgrade the longer flights in and out of Europe to business class, those ones operated by Finn. This is a great option for people who are maybe considering business class for the first time, or those wanting more comfort while sticking to a specific budget. You heard from Cassie how great those prices can be. The itinerary on screen with the Sydney departure has an economy fare from $2,839. For those looking at business class, fares from $11,589 really challenge the London or Europe return ticket price for a lot of major airlines.
Well, as someone who just flew business class for the very first time, I know it's really, really hard to go back once you've been there, but this has all my journalist spidey senses tingling in the best way, because it feels like today we have got some inside scoop info into traveling around the world with Flight Centre. Now, we've been watching all of your questions coming through while we've been talking, so now is a really good time to take some time to answer a few. So, Mike and Cassie, let's get into some of these questions, shall we? Here we go. Okay, first up, what level of flexibility will I have if I need to change my travel dates or destinations? And this is the important part, mid-trip.
Yeah, sure, I'll take this. So this would vary between airlines and alliances, but most tickets offer a degree of flexibility to change dates with a small airline fee, plus any applicable fare and tax difference. Please let us know during a consultation if you're concerned about flexibility or would like to have additional flexibility, as some tickets can provide this with a slightly higher fare.
Okay, next question. What's your number one tip for the biggest cost savings?
I'd say, Claire, if you're set on your itinerary and your dates, booking early is the best way to secure a well-priced ticket, especially if you're wanting to travel in those peak season Christmas dates, for example. Like Mike mentioned before, 10 to 11 months ahead of time when the flights are first released is the best time to book and then to get the best price.
Don't forget to, if you do have a question while we are doing this Q&A session, you can still have your questions come through. Just make sure you hit up the chat and send them through while we're talking. All right, Mike, can I get a round the world ticket to include hotels, car hire, trains and tours?
Yeah, absolutely we can. We can help to book as much as you need assistance with at the end of the day. So sometimes package deals can help to reduce the cost. That could be on flights or on accommodation. Especially with the current bundle and save promotion, it's definitely worth asking the question. We also have great relationships with tour providers, competitive hotel and car hire rates worldwide. So we can really manage everything from the one place to make it easy.
Brilliant. All right, Cassie, this question is something I think that stumps many of us who are not experts like yourselves, and that is when you go from one airline to another, they often have different baggage allowances. So how do you make that work when you're doing around the world fare on different airlines?
Yes, very common question we get. As a minimum, a round the world ticket will include one piece of baggage all the way through. Of course, if you book premium or business, you may have more, but we always recommend if you have specific requirements to let us know so we can help you with that.
Perfect. All right, next question. This one's for you, Mike. Can you recommend the best travel insurance for a round the world trip? What coverage do I need? And this does get difficult because normally your insurance goes via what destination you're going to, right? So what coverage do I need for multiple destinations and activities?
Yes, definitely. Really good to be on top of. We would always recommend our clients depart with travel insurance. Comprehensive insurance can be offered for specific destinations. So if you're one of the simpler itineraries with one stop through a few different countries, we can kind of specialize that to those locations, up to comprehensive worldwide policies covering you everywhere you go. Don't forget add-ons such as cruise coverage, adventure activities, winter sports. These are all things we can add to make sure you're covered for everything.
Okay, now I know you guys have actually done this, so you have first-hand experience, but Cassie, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here, and I don't know if this is something like asking you what your favorite child is, but what's your favorite round the world itinerary?
Oh, that is very hard to answer. Every round the world itinerary is so unique. I do love a bit of a challenge when there's unique destinations that are a bit, off the beaten track. And then trying to make, all of the destinations work on the same ticket is always fun with those complex. But I would say honeymooners are my favorite. I love to plan around the world honeymoons.
Oh my God, I didn't get a honeymoon, so maybe I need to come to you and sort that out just for me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we need to look at, Mike, different round the world itineraries, say for younger people versus people in their 60s?
Okay, this is another tough one, actually. I think all around the world tickets can be suitable for every traveler, so not necessarily. Generally speaking, someone that might be going backpacking might want to have that flexibility of having just the long haul flights arranged, compared to someone else who they have specific places they need to be and when. They have more of a concrete plan and destinations that fit. That might be more of an alliance fare that can maximize those stops. With this one, we can keep an eye on things like mileage to recommend removing a small internal flight in Europe or America to kind of make some big savings, or even if we're already up to a certain mileage, suggest additional flights that can be included at a very little cost.
Okay, Cassie, let's have a look. Next question. Can you recommend local experiences or activities in each destination that would cater to my interests?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's from our own travel experience, I know Mike would have heard me say that many, many times. I fell in love with Barcelona. So if you're going to Barcelona, of course, I'm gonna, love to share my experiences and have tips and tricks. Whether it's from our own experience or our knowledge of the tours and day trips that are available out there, we can certainly help you plan any aspect of the trip.
I haven't been there, but I heard a rumor that everyone in Barcelona is incredibly good looking.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Very unfair.
I don't know what's in the water, but they're all incredibly beautiful. Okay, so another question for you, Mike, and this is something I think a lot of people might panic with a bit is, do you need help with visa requirements for every destination? Because it might be different everywhere you go, right?
Yes, definitely. Visas are such a big one, especially for around the world trips. The number of places you might be going to can be a little overwhelming if you've got a lot of things to organize. So yeah, we're available to offer support and guidance to what requirements a destination has as part of the booking process. We'll point you in the right direction of official visa websites, such as the ESTA for the US and the ETA visa for Canada, because there are some websites out there that'll unnecessarily charge you fees to do so. We can help out with that, and things to remember that they're valid for quite a long time. So don't leave it to the last minute. Get in early for your visas. Make sure you're ready to go.
Be prepared.
Ultimately, these are the traveler's responsibility, and they must be applied for personally. But we'll always be available for advice.
Okay, let's have a look and see what else we've got in the questions list here. Peter would like to know, must a round the world trip include the US, as I much prefer Argentina to the US? And in fact, Glenn has touched on this as well. Not many round the world flights go via South America. What's your advice to include South America from Australia?
Yeah, sure. I can take this one. No, you don't have to visit the US. South America is a little bit more, I wouldn't say challenging, but we have a less number of airlines that we can use to make it suitable for the traveler. That's where we'll look more at those alliance fares that might cost slightly more to make it work, but they'll be as direct as possible for you. An alternative, if you aren't going to South America and you're not interested in the States, is going via Canada. We haven't really touched on Canada, but some fantastic destinations there, and some of the alliances and airline partners make that really, really easy, and still with some great prices.
Another question that's kind of similar to that from Carol. Is there an around the world ticket going via Scotland in lieu of London in the UK, but would also include a trip to the US, say Miami in lieu of New York, for example, or LA?
Yeah, I can take this one. Absolutely. These were examples to give you a bit of inspiration on where you can go, but there are so many different cities we can fly into. So the best way to start is really drafting your list of places you want to go to before you talk to your consultant. And then we'll take all that information and find the best ticket that will go to all these places.
Sue would like to know, what are the best dates for specials?
Well, right now it's the big red sale. Let us on the phone. But generally speaking, try and get in as early as you can. Not all of the fares, because we're using multiple airlines on tickets. If one particular airline has a sale, that might not necessarily mean that substitutes across to the round the world ticket. So as soon as you know what you're doing, get in touch with us. We'll get you the best availability.
That goes to you, Melanie, too, who sent through a question about the best time to get the best deals for November, December. It's like, get onto it ASAP, right?
Yeah, if you're going soon, we really need to get on top of that. November, we like to see that. December is going to be peak travel, so that's one that we need to get on top of.
Glenn would also like to know if you have to fly a certain way around the world to get an around the world ticket.
Yes, so we fly one direction, but you can decide if you prefer flying around through Asia first or North America.
Another question for either of you. How long does the big red sale last? I want to travel in 12 months, so I'm not sure tickets will be on sale yet.
Yeah, we've got another couple of weeks. I would say reach out to us, even if it's going to be outside those big red sale dates. We will still be able to get on top of it just as soon as your dates are released to make sure that you've got a great indication of what price you might be looking at, and yeah, see what flights are available to you.
Cassie, there's some people interested to know what your round the world solo itinerary looked like. Can you give us a little bit of a run through?
Yeah, for sure. So I went to visit my family over Christmas. I'm from Montreal in Canada. So I flew first to Tokyo, spent 5 nights there, and then I flew to Barcelona via Frankfurt, spent 6 nights in Barcelona, which fell in love, as I said, didn't want to leave.
With all those beautiful people? Yes.
Yes. So many things to do, so many things to see. I could have stayed there forever. But then flew directly from Barcelona to Montreal. Spent a couple weeks there over Christmas, New Year's, and then flew back home to Australia via Vancouver. And this was on a Lufthansa round the world ticket, which has changed a little bit since then, but it's still possible to do something very similar.
Mike, what's your ideal round the world destinations?
Yeah, sure. My ideal around the world, I would say this touches on a little bit what Cassie said earlier with loving a challenge. So anywhere that's maybe a little bit less common to go to. So a lot of people will go into your Londons and Paris and Rome. But if you've got something a little more different and you're visiting, yeah, maybe some places in different parts of Asia to the most common areas, different parts of Europe, getting across to Eastern Europe. We had a Croatia on an earlier itinerary. I love Croatia and Greece. And then Canada, like I said earlier. I think the things you can do from Toronto and Vancouver are so different season to season that there's some fantastic places to go and see in Canada for sure.
Well, I think many of us have been inspired to maybe look at our own round the world itineraries now and see if we can squeeze as many of those fun destinations in as possible. Cassie, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with everybody today. It was wonderful to pick your brains and see how we can best put that into action for ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us for the Big Red Expert series. We have some more exciting sessions lined up, so be sure to check those out too. And don't miss out on Flight Centre's Big Red Sale, where you can save up to 50% on holidays, cruises and tours, plus incredible savings on round the world flights. And sorry, just whoever is pressing buttons, can we go back one? Because there was a really important phone number there that we needed to let you know about. So if you are contacting Flight Centre and you want to do a round the world trip, you need to speak to a round the world expert. It takes time and experience to understand how all these flights work together and the best destinations and all of the things that go with it. So that number there, 1300 350 393. That's a really important number. I'll give you a second just to jot that down. So if you are interested in booking that round the world fare, make sure you call that number because that will get you directly through to the experts that you need to speak to. And again, don't miss out on Flight Centre's Big Red Sale. Again, you can save up to 50% on holidays, cruises and tours. Plus there are incredible savings on these round the world flights that we've talked about today. I know a couple of you have sent through questions about this. If you missed any part of this session today live, do not fear, you can still catch the replay. And if you have any questions, our travel experts are here to help. Just fill out the inquiry form on the right-hand side of your screen. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy planning, and please feel free to take me with you when you go on any of these wonderful adventures. Happy travels.